The Crawl Space Under the Stairs, a multi-generational search for answers. Now that I have breast cancer again, the doctors at Stanford are asking me all kinds of questions about the treatment I had the first time around 18 years ago. Questions I can't answer. I don't remember exactly which chemo drugs I took, only how awful they made me feel. How many sessions of radiation I had, only that it didn't really bother me. At one point, I know I refused to keep taking the aromatase inhibitors they wanted me to take for 5 years after my chemo and radiation ended. Those dreaded pills caused terrible night sweats, crippling neuropathy in my feet, incapacitating brain fog, and made my joints ache terribly. At the time, I remember thinking, I'd rather die. But when exactly did I stop taking them? I can't remember. So I started trying to find out. But tracking down old medical records isn't easy. In the ensuing years, my oncologist died and her practice closed. When I contacted the medical office that took over, the woman told me they only keep records for 10 years. I was out of luck. Unless there's a hidden crawl space under the stairs in my detached home office. It's the place I shove boxes, lots of plastic storage boxes filled with old tax records, paperwork from the lawsuits surrounding my first book, The Courage to Heal, PR and memorabilia from books I wrote 20 years ago, old photos of the kids and their school papers, reel-to-reel tapes of shows I did back when I was a 27-year-old talk show host in Ketchikan, Alaska. One box for my dead father and one for my dead mother, that sort of thing. I knew that at one time I had created a big plastic storage box labeled cancer and shoved it under there. But had I kept it all these years? I wasn't sure. Going back into that dark, decrepit crawl space was the only way to find out. But getting anything out of that pitch-dark, hidden place is a major challenge. The entrance to the crawl space is covered by a small rectangular plywood panel at floor level, painted the same white as the walls surrounding it. No one ever notices this small rectangle, but it's there. To remove the panel, I grab a butter knife from the kitchen, slide the knife around the edge of the panel and pop it out, creating a dark, narrow opening, just enough space to slide in on your back or belly to see what's within. It's pitch black in there and full of dust and God knows what else. The crawl space is just 2 feet high. The only way to maneuver around inside is shimming on your back like a crab, or to army crawl on your belly with a headlamp. The last time I went in there, it was to retrieve the correspondence between me and my mother during the years we were bitterly estranged. Original source material I needed when I was writing my memoir about our relationship, The Burning Light of Two Stars. That was more than 10 years ago. I really didn't want to go back in there anymore. When our 2 youngest kids, Eli and Lizzie, were in elementary school, I'd pay them to crawl in and retrieve things for me. I'd give them an assignment, something to look for, and a headlamp. To them, it was an adventure. I'd pay them $1, and later $5, and I'd get the tax records I needed. But now they both live far away. Time to turn to the next generation. Our 2 youngest grandkids were coming to spend the weekend with us. Ellie is 12 and Nash is 9. Before their arrival, I asked them if they wanted to have an adventure and each earn $5. They were game. On Sunday morning, after feeding them oven pancakes, blackberries, and sausages, I had them wrap up their hair in bandanas and put on old clothes. I handed each of them a face mask, something not in our earlier spelunking repertoire, before COVID brought masks into our lives. Ellie wore my headlamp, and Nash got to use a pink curving light that wrapped around his neck, designed for knitting. I demonstrated how to open the secret panel they'd never noticed before. In fairness, they'd rarely been in my office before, and I told them to slide in. My instructions? Look for anything that says the word taxes on the side of the box. It was time to shred 20 years of old tax records. And casually, I added, yeah, and let me know if there's a box in there that says cancer. I'm looking for some old medical records. I wasn't sure if they'd freak out once they got under there in the dark and pop right back out again, but they seemed to be having a grand time. They were the perfect age for the job. They could read the labels. They were strong enough to kick the boxes back toward the opening. They were up for the adventure, and getting a little cash was a novelty for them. Fortunately for me, they didn't panic in the dark. The crawl space extends a long way back. It was silent for a minute or two as they got their bearings. Pretty soon they were calling out the names of boxes. Every time they found a tax box, they'd shove it toward the opening with their feet, and I'd ease it out of the hole and stack it in my office. We also decided to pull out the boxes that said kids' photos, so they could see pictures of their aunt and uncle when they were little. I gave them some suggestions for organizing the remaining boxes and asked them to make a list of the boxes that were in there. I slid in a little pad and pen to Ellie. Nash called out the names of the boxes, and Ellie responded each time. How do you spell that? Pretty soon, they'd cataloged them all. There was no box that said cancer. That's when I remembered the ritual I'd done one afternoon in our backyard fire pit. More than a decade after my first run-in with cancer, I'd burned all my medical records, releasing them to the universe. Oh well, I guess there are some specifics about my prior treatment that I am just not going to be able to provide. 45 minutes after they first slid into that dark space under the stairs, Ellie and Nash emerged, coughing and covered with dust. I had Nash carry 3 boxes of kids' photos into the house, and we found all kinds of treasures in there. A long personal letter in response to the kids from Christopher Paolini, teen author of Aragon, Eli's favorite dragon book, after Eli and Lizzie sent him a cassette of the song they'd composed based on his novel. A school exercise Eli did in first grade math class where he used a tape measure to record the length of 10 items in our house, all written out in his spindly handwriting. There were pictures of Lizzie in the Dorothy pinafore Karen made her when she was obsessed with The Wizard of Oz. And then I found an envelope marked Laura's photos in the bottom of one of the boxes, with several images of me I loved but didn't remember. I gave each of the grandkids their well-deserved $5, and I'll just have to hope they're around the next time I need something tucked away, way back deep under the stairs. If you'd like to see images of the kids in the dark crawl space and some of the amazing photographs I found from the past, you'll have to look at the post on Substack. But just for now, remember, every time you click the heart, leave a comment, or share a post, you're making it easier for new readers to discover the writer's journey.